Excellent. Surf's up, dudes. Now, where better to spend the cold, dark days of an English winter than on the west coast of the USA. Welcome to Huntington Beach, Southern California, for the second heat of World's Strongest Man 2007. Where 5 more giants go head-to-head for 2 places in the final. England, Poland, Bulgaria and the USA are represented here, and all our eyes will be on the English debutant, the farmer from York, Mark Westerby. The other main contenders, the American Don Pope, as well as the much-fancied Pole Sebastian Vettel. This is going to be one hell of a task for the rookie. Now, can Mark Westerby go one better than his fellow Yorkshireman, Darren Sadler, and make it to this year's final? For a man who's only been competing for 3 years, that would be some achievement. The first event for Farmer Mark is one which should suit him. It's the Farmer's Walk and Barrel Carry. Your commentators, Nick Halling and Colin Bryce.
Unfortunately, they don't have too many farms that look like this in Yorkshire. So Mark Westerby, transplanted from the fields of Yorkshire to the sand of Southern California. Right, let's get this thing rolling with the Farmer's Walk and then the barrel pickup. Those barrels are half full of water. It is so difficult to keep them under control.
Carl Gillingham.
And that's after you've carried these anvils. Carl Gillingham from Minneapolis, one of 2 world-class strongmen from that city.
And lane 2, Stoyan Todorcev.
And here's a man that everybody is looking at with great interest, the young Bulgarian Stoyan Todorcev. He's been cleaning up in East Europe, but he's arrived here on the world stage pretty much as an unknown quantity, and he's certainly made an immediate impression here. But these barrels might slow him down a little bit. Long arms, the requirement here, and Todorcev is finding it difficult, and Gillingham is closing that gap.
Well, if long arms are the requirement, Todorcev should be winning this easily, but it's just very hard to find a grip as well. Look, you've got tiny little lips on the barrel there, and Todorcev, well, he's going forward okay here. We've seen times down in the mid-20s in Heat 1.
Back in your lane, Carl, not in your lane.
Carl Gillingham's gone out of the lane here.
Well, that's amazing. The problem is, and you're certainly not allowed to roll it or push it forward, he's got to lift that, and the officials are looking at him very closely. The problem is you've got water sloshing around in there, and it's so difficult to control it. You think you've got it, and then suddenly, boom, there's a whole load of weight goes into one of those arms, and you just put it down.
Yeah, well said. And once those legs fill with lactic acid, it kind of wobbles in the legs. Oh, is he going to get away with that?
Finished.
He's lucky there.
Oh, dear, what a terrible start to this qualifier for Carl Gillingham. At least he finished it, but this was impressive. It's welcome to the big league for Stoyan.
Well, Todorcev's proved he's not just a big guy, but he's an athlete as well. Look how fast he went with the farmers and managed to finish it off in a decent time.
Yes, 33 seconds. Now the second heat. Westerby, Pope and Vettel.
Lane 1, Sebastian Vettel from Poland.
A real giant of a man, over 6'7", qualified for the final a year ago.
Lane 2, Mark Westerby from the UK.
Running with the big dogs now, Mark.
And lane 3, Don Pope from the USA.
From Cleveland, Ohio, to be specific, and 3rd place last year. So Pope and Vettel both know what it takes to qualify for the final of the World's Strongest Man. For Mark Westerby, this is new territory. Let's see if the farmer can run away with the Farmer's Walk. Well, it's the pole that gets off to the fast start, but it's the barrels that matter. And it's about timing and keeping control. Vettel so far looking good. They're all looking good. And that 33 seconds of Todorcev could be in jeopardy here, but who's going to struggle with that extra weight now? Boy, oh boy, this could be a photo finish.
Vettel's gone down there, and it cost him. I don't believe it. Don Pope, he was in 3rd place until a couple of meters before the line. What a finish by Pope. It's just so typical him, isn't it? He's always out of the running, and then he pulls it out of the bag.
Well, he finished, Pope, like one of those foxes that Mark Westerby has doubtless chased off his farm once or twice. And as for Sebastian, well, it looked good, and then it all fell apart. But That's where it all started to go wrong. Westerby looked terrific, but then suddenly, out of nowhere, like a 100-meter sprint.
So, Dom, being injured a lot through the season, did you expect to win that event?
No, you know, you can train all you want and try to match intensity of a meet, but you never will.
Did Mark Westerby surprise you? Have you heard about him before?
You know, I competed with Mark a few years ago, but every time I see him, he gets bigger and bigger. So I think he's close to 400 pounds now, you know, he shook my hand in the lunchroom about broke my wrist, so I knew it was going to be, you know, he was at least pretending to be strong.
That's quite a performance from Don Pope in the opening event. Remember, he's been injured for much of the year. Mark Westerby gets a very creditable second, but from the look on his face, he was expecting a little better. So far, so good for Westerby, but the agony continues after the break with the Hercules hold. Welcome back to Heat 2 of World's Strongest Man 2007, where debutant Mark Westerby is performing well. For the next event, your commentators Nick Halling and Colin Bryce.
So simple this, all you got to do is hold those pillars for as long as you possibly can. But before Hercules takes over, let's meet our 5 competitors.
Mark Westerby, England.
Stoyan Todorchev, Bulgaria.
Carl Gillingham, USA.
Sebastian Venta, Poland.
Don Pope, USA.
Well, Sebastian Venta has already gone. Will not be happy with a time of 28.54.
From England, Mark Westerby.
But at least he's put a mark down. And so much of this event, it's such a pure event. It's about grip and strength, yes, but it's all in the mind. This is about mental toughness and determination as much as anything. You hold on to those pillars for as long as you possibly can and try and beat out of your mind the fact that your arms feel like they're being torn out of their sockets.
You know, the only thing I worry about here is Mark injured his shoulder, if you remember back to Britain's Strongest Man and the Fingal's Fingers, and he has a lot of nerve damage down his right arm. And he said to me that his grip's normally amazing, but he's worried about that right hand.
Oh, and the telltale signs are all over this one. That's terrible in this context.
I see him glancing over towards the right hand there. It's just awful that you get this far and injuries like that let you down.
That's a real shame.
Mark Westerby's time.
He's capable of so much more than 21-28, and yeah, he just shook that right arm.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the United States of America, Don Pope.
Well, here's the man that stole in on the medley like a thief in the night to take maximum points, but there'll be no stealing here. It's you against those pillars, but the bar hasn't been set very high, to mix my metaphors. 28.54 from Venta, 21.28 from Westerby. These guys, certainly Pope should be around the 45-50 second mark.
You know, Don Pope was the last guy of all 25 athletes to get selected for this contest. He's showed absolutely no form all season. He's been injured with this, injured with that. Last year at World's Strongest Man, it was the same thing, and he ended up on the podium. He's just one of these guys. I just have a feeling about Don this year. He could well do it again.
Big-time player, isn't he? Give him the big stage, and then he'll step up.
Well said, yeah.
20! A couple of little wobbles, but that 28.54 looks like it's going to be consigned to the record books. And, yeah, he takes first place with 2 to come. 32.65 and a sigh of resignation from the big American. These times are not anything special. 32.65. At the moment, though, good enough for first place with 2 to come.
Well, you can only ride your luck so far. He didn't do enough training. And that's the problem here.
Don, you took the lead, but you're obviously not happy.
No, that was, you know, I was expecting about 20 more seconds, Kaz. Usually my grip's not a problem, and that felt heavy right from the get-go.
With 4 events to go, how comfortable are you to stay in the position you're at and make it to the final?
You know, I got a lot of good events coming up. The medley was a big question mark for me. The barrels, I didn't know anything could have happened, so winning that was like cherry on top of the sundae, you know, just a bonus.
Well, good luck to you.
Thanks, Cass.
From Bulgaria, Stoyan Todorchev.
It's tempting to say that the young debutant from Bulgaria doesn't have much to beat here, because Pope's 32.65 wouldn't have made the top 4 in the first heat. And it's not like they've made the Pillars of Hercules any heavier. It's just this particular group of athletes are just finding it tough. I thought you heard Don Pope muttering away to the guys afterwards how hard he found it. So the door wide open for Todorchev here. 33 seconds will give him first place.
And there's really no pressure on this man either. He's only 21. He's done a lot in Eastern Europe, as you said, but his first ever world's strongest man. He just puts in even a half-decent performance here. 35-40 seconds, he could well take a victory.
Well, he's moved past Westerby. Venter's 28.54 is next. He's looking solid so far. The problem with this event is appearances can be deceptive. You feel great, and in a fraction of a second, you hit empty. But he goes into first place and still looks good. Look at that balance. Wide spread of the legs. The arms look very, very set and solid. 42.25 is not bad at all.
Yeah, it's getting closer to the money end, isn't it? Anything over 40 seconds is a decent time. The Bulgarian, though, it's his first time ever on that piece of equipment. I know it might seem like any kind of hold would be exactly the same exercise, but it isn't. Different grips, different heights.
Well, there's a bit of drama going on here because he might have gone into first place, but you saw there he was holding himself a little bit gingerly, and this fella's picked up an injury. And let's hope that's nothing serious. They're getting the ice on it to try and bring the swelling down.
From the USA, Carl Gillingham.
News on the Todorchev injury when we have it, but right now it's Carl Gillingham, one of 2 Americans in this field, and a man with some catching up to do after his, well, very poor showing in the medley. There's no other way to put it. He finished 5th out of 5. And let's see what he can do here. Not, as you say, Colin, a difficult target you wouldn't have thought. Certainly he should be good for second place here. All he's got to do is get 32.65.
Yeah, you should think this is a good opportunity for Gillingham. If he was a boxer, he'd be a good journeyman. He's always there or thereabouts. Never has a weak event. But already, oh no, the shakes are on and big time. What's going on here, Nick?
Well, Venter's 28.54 looked disappointing. Well, he's got past that. He's got past Westerby as well. Pope's 32.65, and he's done that as well. This is terrific stuff, really, in the context, because he looked like he was all over the place at 20 seconds. Not good enough for first place, but surprisingly good enough for second. 37.58. I'm not sure that would have cracked the top 3 in the first heat.
He's a real fighter, isn't he? At about 25 seconds, it looked like it was all over. But he just clung on. Must have been in real agony there. You can see he's almost to fingertips. It's slowly opening. Good effort.
Disaster then for Mark Westerby in the Hercules hold. He'll be bitterly disappointed with a time of 21.28 seconds. No such problems for Stoyan Todorchev. He made it look very easy. Westerby isn't out of contention despite that blip. He remains within striking distance of Todorchev and Don Pope, who currently occupy the 2 qualification places. Now, I'm not entirely sure what size surfboard big Mark Westerby would need, but one thing's for sure, he's certainly got the leg power required for surfing. Next up for Westerby and his opponents, possibly the greatest test of leg strength there is. It's the squat lift, and here's Sven Karlsson with the details.
The squat lift, an ultimate test for overall body power, but most of all testing the legs. Another time event, starting off at 265 kilos, ending up at 340. Best times win.
And it's not just about the timings, it's about how quickly you can do it as well. You're looking to get 7 reps as quickly as you possibly can. If 2 athletes are tied with the same number of reps, it'll be determined by who got there the quickest. Carl Gillingham was the first man to attempt this. He took it slow and steady. That's because he found it difficult. All over the place. 3 reps, a quick time, but 3 reps. Very disappointing.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stoyan Todorchev from Bulgaria.
We saw him getting some work on his left forearm. We hear that the Bulgarian was just concerned about a possible muscle strain and that it was nothing to worry about. Is that psychology? Is that kidology? Is that whopper telling? Well, I'm not going to argue with him.
Good lift.
Let's see how he can do here. The arms aren't a major factor in this event anyway. You wouldn't have thought. It's more there for balance as much as anything. It's in the quads and the back that really sort out the heavy hitters from the lightweights in this one.
A very good technique. Just coming forward with an equal amount of back and legs.
Got a 5th rep. Now, how much more can he do? That 5th one seemed to upset him a little bit, and yeah, 5 is all that he's going to get here.
Stoyan Todorchev.
It's a very tough discipline, this. Not only does the weight get harder and harder with each lift, you get more and more tired. If only it got lighter with each lift, I'm sure the guys would love it all the more.
Now, Mark Westerby had injury problems ahead of Britain's Strongest Man with a leg problem. That's not ideal preparation for this event.
I absolutely loved it at Minehead, you know, in the Britain's Strongest Man. When I got the call to say that I'm through into the Worlds, you know, I couldn't believe it. And here I am in California, and really looking forward to it, I really am. Up against the strongest guys in the whole world, you know. They all should be good events for me. The only thing is, these days in Strongman, most events are really against the clock, you know, how fast you can move, and there's some really athletic guys. That's the only concern I have right now. All I've done is train pretty much the same, but push yourself just a little bit extra, you know. I mean, you always push yourself to your limits. I think for the world's strongest man, you have to push yourself beyond your limits, you know. Well, it's absolutely, it's a dream come true, you know. It's absolutely fabulous to be here, and I just can't believe it. I need to pinch myself and wake up, you know.
Okay, let's go, Mark. Straight in, mate. Go for it.
Well, Mark Westerby, probably not used to this sunshine. We don't get weather like this in the farming community in Yorkshire.
Take your position.
Let's see how he gets on here. I heard someone describe him as looking like a super-sized Terry Wogan. That was a little bit harsh.
Squat.
Wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Squat.
Good start.
Squat.
Well, he's gone for bare feet. That's interesting. You know, I think we have to tell the story about him as well. You know, at 38, he'd never lifted a weight. Here he is at 42 at World's Strongest Man. I mean, it's a phenomenal tale, really.
Yeah, but when you carry sheep under each arm for a living, you know, you don't need to go down the gym. You know, this man's life is going down the gym effectively. Hey, this is good stuff. Here's rep 6. This would put him in the lead. Forget the clock and everything else. If he can get this, he's up there. That's good. Puts him in front. They've got that 7th one on, and Mark is...
He wants it racked, I think. He's not happy. He knows when he's beat. That was a good decision, actually. He was calling for the racks to come in there. He didn't want to risk injuring his leg again.
And doesn't he need big points after the problem with the Hercules hold? This was good stuff from Westerby. Doesn't look a bit like Terry Wogan, does he?
Mark, that was incredible improvement since Britain's Strongest Man. What have you been doing now?
Well, as you know, before the Britons, I had a 12-month injury in my leg. But since the Britons, I thought, I can't afford a weak event, you know. So I've just kept working my legs, and they've made a miraculous recovery. And I just proved it just now. I could have done the last one. I didn't realise where I was.
So you think you could have done the last one as well?
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
Great job anyway.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Don Pope from the USA.
Once upon a time, a school teacher. These days, Don supplements his strongman income with a little bit of work on construction sites. Let's see if he can build a good score here. Certainly going out very quickly. Sometimes that's a technique these guys will use. They know they can't trust themselves to go for a lot of barrels, so they just get through as many as they can to get a fast time on the clock. But he's combining speed and lifting here. Rep 6, and he's got about 10 seconds to try and beat Westerby, and he's done it. He's shattered that, so he goes into the lead.
Well, he only just touched the ground there. He's got to be careful here. Yeah, he's made it.
Oh, look at that. 34.96 on a full house.
Don Pope, ladies
Well, he really grinded out the depth from the last one, slowly down and then blasted it up. That's a man who's done a lot of gym work. I can hear Kazmar shout, and that's what it's all about. The Americans are getting behind each other here. Look at this. Holds the breath in, builds up the pressure in the abdominal area, keeps it solid.
Serious American right there.
This is a tight group. Do you think that squat will give you a place in the final? You know, I really needed that because, you know, I try to figure out who I got to beat in each event. And I was told that Mark Westby was a weak squatter, and I placed him 5th in the squat, and he beat some guys I thought would give me a run for my money. So it's very hard to predict what's going to happen. Everybody brings their A game here, and then some guys get maybe too worked up and get too nervous and don't do what they do in training. So, you know, it all depends on game day what you do. Well, good luck. Thanks.
Well. Sebastian Venter has got some work to do. Currently not in the top 2. Despite being a strong favourite to progress from this group. It's funny, isn't it? They've looked at other groups and said those are the tough groups because they've got the big names in them. But what we've got here is a group of very good athletes. And really, it's wide open for all of them. If Venter comes in as one of the favourites, all the others will be looking at this and saying, well, I can come out of this group as well.
Good depth there from Venter. And looks are really quite deceiving here. Venter's legs very slim. Just
hello.
mousetrap there. Where did that one come from?
Sebastian.
Still smiling, though.
That's interesting, isn't it? 5 men and 5 different achievements. We don't need to go to the clocks. There's your winner. He got all 7. And the one-time school teacher handing out a lesson.
That's much better for Westerby. All that extra training brings him a crucial 2nd place. Don Pope maintains his fine form with another victory. He looks good for a final place. Westerby is now just 1 point from a qualification place. But the big surprise at the moment is the much-fancied Sebastian Venter. He'll need to improve significantly if he's to live up to expectation. Okay, so maybe it's a midlife crisis, but I am going to embrace the surfing culture. So whilst I grow my hair and learn the difference between a rip and a curl, the athletes are going to be preparing for the overhead safe lift. Join us for that after the break.
Martin, we're going to simulate paddling. At the count of 3, I want you to pop up. 1, 2, 3.
Well, things are looking pretty good for Mark Westerby over at the Queen Mary. And I think I'm holding my own here on the beach, and I stress on the beach. Eventually, I'm going to have to get out there. The next challenge for the athletes is the overhead safe lift.
Well, it's a good job the Beach Boys weren't using Martin Bayfield as the inspiration for some of their great songs from the 60s. Anyway, on with our show, and it's the safe lift. It's not easy. It's far from easy. The hardest part is not the lift, although goodness knows those safes weigh enough. It's keeping control of them because they swivel and swing. And once they start to go, it's very difficult to keep them under control. Here's a young man that's impressed everybody so far, Stoyan Todorcev. Storming out of Eastern Europe, could be the next big thing. And a man that nobody expected too much from, Don Pope, who spent much of 2007 nursing one ailment or another. Look at this, he's in the lead. Remember, the top 2 qualify, and we've got number 1 and 2 right here. Oh, now there's a bit of lack of experience showing, because he pushed it too high to Todorcev. And those safes have come off. And he's in real trouble here. I mean, this could be very serious the way he's dropping that. He's got to get it back on the pad and get a controlled lift. He's not been given a lift yet at all. Look how wide he is. There's a danger that safe's going to come down on his foot. The Bulgarian all over the place with this technically.
Don Pope just steady knocking him out, though. He's grabbing this opportunity. You see, even someone as experienced as Don struggles to hold it at the top.
Well, I'm worried about this man's welfare here, Colin. His feet are so wide apart. If those safes come down on his foot, I don't care how strong he is, that is a broken foot and a trip to casualty.
He's just not doing it properly. He's trying to press it overhead. You need to jerk it and just catch it for a second. If you try and press it, you get the big wobble going.
Well, he doesn't speak much English, and he hasn't come here with much of an entourage, so we don't know how much experience he's got in this event, but I would suggest, looking at Stoyan Todorcev, the way he's attacking these safes, he's never done this event. We know Tarmo Miet had never done it, and the Estonian's been around the block a lot, but Todorcev is in danger of doing himself a real mischief. Somehow he's managed to get 5 lifts out of that, but it was a voyage into the unknown. 13, not unlucky for Don Pope, but the real drama in that one was Todorcev. You were waiting for those safes to come and land on the metatarsals there and do a David Beckham.
Well, you can do all the gym training you want, but nothing quite prepares you for these strange events at World's Strongest Man. Oh, look at that. I think he actually clipped his toe. Big Don, though, look at that. Slow and steady, just drives it straight up overhead.
Sebastian Venta from Poland.
Well, Venta has done well at this in the past, and when you're 5th out of 5, you've got to make a move. And the fact that the number 2 man, Pope, or Todorcev, has struggled so badly, the door is open.
Hey, that's how to do it. Look at that. 3 reps already. Big leg drive. Just catches it at the top. A bit like a shot put, really. Just shot puts it overhead and catches it.
Well, it's funny you should say that. This man, of course, was a Polish national champion at both shot and discus. So there's almost second nature to him. There's a lot of technique to it, of course. You've got to get that lift right. You've got to get your feet balanced. You've got to keep control of those safes. The first stumble at 9. But then he's back in business again. And he's got to get past Pope, and he's got to think maximum points here.
Down!
Yeah, they gave it to him after a question.
Down!
And remember, this is an event for the final. We've seen in Heat 1 already, Phil Pfister and Tarmo Miet putting out 16, 17 reps. This is a new leader here, Venta on 16.
Well, 16 may be good enough. I think there was a 17 in the first heat and 17 here as well. Yeah, Venta's set out his stall here. 5th going into this event, but I don't think he's going to be 5th on the leaderboard at the end of this.
Nearly got the 19th there as well.
Sebastian Venta.
I think the weight's going to have to go up for the final. These guys are dealing with this just really too easily.
Don't say that to Stoyan Todorcev.
Yeah. Great technique, it really is. Drives it up so much with his legs and just catches it at the top. Lovely.
Ladies and gentlemen, Carl Gillingham from the United States of America.
Currently lying 4th, and the man currently lying 3rd.
Mark Westerby from England.
Now remember, Mark had problems with the Hercules hold because of a shoulder issue. A shoulder issue may be an issue here.
But let's not forget how good he was, a Britain's Strongest Man at this event. He was the best of anybody. This is a little bit heavier though. Oh, Westerby just missing his rhythm there.
It's about timing as well, and I'm sure with every one of these lifts, Stoyan Todorcev is looking on in utter dismay because the Bulgarian was 2nd on the leaderboard, but he will get just 1 point for his efforts here because both these guys have gone past his 5. The next target is Don Pope's 13, and Westerby has caught up with Gillingham and just now gone ahead of him. Oh, they didn't give Westerby a lift there. So that allows the American to stay ahead. And there might be a bit of controversy there. I thought Westerby had a good lift, but the officials looked otherwise and said, no, those elbows were not locked.
That's it, exactly. His elbows just aren't quite locking.
And they gave him that one, though.
This is neck and neck, 12 apiece.
And Don Pope's 13 is in their sights. Neither man, totally convincing there. They gave it to Gillingham. They didn't give it to Westerby. And Westerby needs another one because this is important.
Just didn't lock it there. He's so close. Needs to hit it harder with the legs.
No, that's bad news for Mark Westerby. He needed to get to 13.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Gillingham got there, so they'll have to go to the stopwatches to separate the 2 Americans, because that's what Don Pope got as well, but Westerby behind him. Just 12 reps for him, only good enough for 4th. Points lost. Carl Gillingham with a tie with Don Pope, so that's good points for the Americans.
Yeah, Gillingham lost a couple of reps, though, and I wonder whether that tie will cost him in the end. Look how narrow his arms are there, and he's just not quite pressing out with his triceps.
So, Mark, that didn't turn out the way you hoped, did it?
No, I think I got a bit excited, you know, a bit carried away. Should have paced myself a little bit, but Carl was good. I could hear his bang, 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 you know, and I was just trying to keep up, but the pace was a little bit too fast, you know.
You think the train has left the station now, or is there still a chance going to reach the final?
I might jump on last carriage, you know, if I'm lucky.
Well, good luck.
Thank you very much.
What a performance from Sebastian Vettel. Finally, the pole is living up to the hype here in California. Mark Westerby will be very disappointed with 4th place after excelling at this event in Britain's Strongest Man. Those 5 points for Vettel put him in an extremely good position. He has 2 very good events to come. Don Pope looks to be the likely winner of this group, but the chasing pack are very tight behind. Well, things are looking pretty good for the American Don Pope here in California, but it really is anyone from 4 for that all-important 2nd qualifying spot. Now, the next event will go a long way to determining who claims it. Whilst I get this beast ready for the water, here's Sven with the lowdown of what's in store.
Thank you, Martin. We're now down here at Huntington Beach, getting ready for the 2nd last event of the qualifying heat. The keg toss. The athlete has to take 10 of these 25-kilo kegs and throw them over this 4-meter bar. Situation in this group is getting really interesting now. Mark Westerby has to pull out something special now.
Yes, there's the rules, as explained to us by Sven, who's clearly been hitting the tanning salons of Southern California. Either that or he's been hanging out on Huntington Beach way too long. The Bulgarian starting fast but fading now, just 3 kegs for Stoyan. So a chance for Mark Westerby. All he's got to do is imagine these are bales of hay down on the farm in Yorkshire, and this should be child's play for a big farmer. Well, the first one goes over with an economy of effort. It doesn't clip the tin, and it doesn't travel too far the other side either. Sometimes you have to put out the safety nets to make sure the spectators don't get caught there. 3 very easy, and the 4th goes easy as well. This is good rhythm.
Well, there seem to be 2 ways of gripping this barrel. I was watching the guys in training. You either grab it on top like Mark's doing here, and the tall men tend to get away with that, or you grab it on the sides. I don't know, there's the first one just clipping. Fatigue is setting in now at the 35-second mark.
But the 8th one goes over without clipping. Well, can he get all 10 and really make a statement here? Oh, it didn't go. Oh, that could be a huge difference maker. It was there, and it just hung, and that's what happens. So unlucky because... And now he's had to change his grip to try and get this 9th over. Oh dear, what a shame. The 9th nearly went as well, but now this is 3 attempts he's had at it. It just defied gravity there, wasn't it? It's like a tennis ball just hanging on the net. Which way is he going to go? Well, he's got it over, so that's 9. Is there something left in the tank? As you can see, that was never going to go, and he put a lot into that one as well. Got to get elevation as well as power. He's gone back to his original grip, but it's not going to work. And I think he's going to have to settle for 9. Oh, that was unlucky for Westerby. It looked like he was on course for all 10 there, and then that 9th one just hung on the top of the net and said, you know what, I'm coming back.
Well, he just wasted too much energy on that 9th barrel, just throwing it up and down, not quite getting the trajectory right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Carl Gillingham from the United States of America.
And the man from the Twin Cities has got to do something magical here to get himself out of last place. Nobody needs to tell Gillingham he needs everything. Oh, that's interesting. He stands where the barrels are and goes for a little bit extra. And look at how far he's taking them as well. He doesn't need to go up to that white line, not if you can clear them like this. It's fast and it's effective.
Wow, this is very explosive. You just wonder whether he's burning too much energy doing this, though. But what an athlete he is.
Well, he hasn't burned up too much here. 7 gone, 7, 8. This is the one that caught... oh, but he's done better than Westerby. And the 10th. Oh!
Very unlucky there.
Well, he'll have a faster time than Mark Westerby, but he'll want to get this 10th keg over.
It looks like he's just hit the wall. Just got to get his rhythm again, get his breath back.
Well, that's the key, isn't it? Rhythm, and we saw that with Westerby. He's got it. 51.37. That's fast. It's effective, but he's disgusted with himself. Goodness knows why. That was special.
Well, the official time there given at 51.1. He's such an athlete. No surprise, of course, his father was an all-pro NFL star.
Talking of pedigree, here's a man who's done it all before. 3rd place, this time last year.
Back home, everyone's like, you're huge, you're the biggest guy I've ever seen. I was like, you haven't been out of Ohio, apparently, have you? There's guys out there that are monsters. I think you have to be a little mental to do this. You're not going to get rich. You feel like hell in the morning. I wonder why my back's hurt. I was, oh yeah, I just pulled a train 30 meters down track. My philosophy has always been, you got to be stronger than the small guys, and you got to be faster than the big guys. Everyone's so efficient, getting so strong that it's like bam, bam, bam. At this level, you screw up or have a stutter step, and there's 3 guys past you. Last year was good. The drought's been broke. You know, I was on the podium. I got 3rd. You know, I was happy. And everyone's like 25 years, and you know, I'm like, yeah, it's great that America won. It's just the wrong American.
Well, there's 2 ways of looking at it. Don Pope hasn't been able to compete very much because of all the injuries he's had this year, but I guess his body is fresh, and he certainly looks healthy, and he's got a little bit of technique going, moving 2 barrels at a time. He goes for that wider grip that you talked about, Colin. Is there an advantage, or is it just whatever you feel comfortable with?
I guess it's whatever you feel comfortable with. He's got long legs. He can get the barrel well between his legs, and I think it probably conserves a little bit more energy doing it this way. He's just getting the rhythm, swinging it forwards and backwards. He's not going for a fast time here, is he?
I like his technique, though, taking 2 at a time and just taking it steady, because the guy they're all wanting to see is Sebastian Venter, the Pole, who was a discus national champion. I mean, if anybody would be good at a throwing event, you would expect it to be him, but Pope making short work of these barrels so far. Here comes number 9. This is the one that got Westerby. A little clip. It's going to be really close. Gillingham 51.10. What's Pope come up with? Oh! Well, he won't know yet that he's 0.27 of a second out of 1st place. That's good, though. That is something to smile about. Yes! And something to shout about, too.
Well, if Pope had known, he might just have gone that little bit quicker in the start. Slow and steady, and great time for Dom.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sebastian Venter from Poland!
And they're all worried about this man. He can do these 2 at a time if he feels like it. Well, maybe that's a slight exaggeration. OK, they're heavier than a discus, but just look at that.
I think the people in the back are in trouble.
Take cover. Build a shelter. Back up. This fella's coming after you. Mind you, they're all Polish fans behind him anyway. They know his range. They've seen this before. He is making mincemeat of these kegs. You know, it is about technique, isn't it? And when you've thrown a discus to the highest possible level in your country, and when you've thrown a shot, then these barrels just go easy. Don't bother even looking at the clock. He's destroyed it.
Hey, little Charleston there. Multi-talented, this guy. I guess you need good footwork for shot putting as well, and you're so right. He just knows how to use the big muscles to explode up with those barrels. He's so efficient at his technique there.
Another victory for Venter, and he's looking good for a place in the final. Mark Westerby was so unlucky there. Had that barrel gone over, it may have been a different story. 3 more points for Don Pope guarantee a final place, but another 5 points for Venter look to have given him the green light to join him. Gillingham and Westerby would need a miracle to stop the pole now. Well, this is it then. Time to see if a 6'10" man can stand up on a plank of wood in a raging sea. Join us after the break for the answer to 2 very important questions. Who will be the next 2 men through to this year's final, and will ever make it out of the Pacific Ocean alive?
Welcome back to Surf City, Huntington Beach. You think you're looking at Martin Bayfield? No, you're not. Now you are. A total lack of ability doesn't seem to be putting him off out there, but we're going to have to leave him to it because it's time to get back to the serious action. And while Martin plays City Devils out on the surf, let's go to the Atlas Stones. That sounds like a Beach Boys song as well, doesn't it? Well, Todorcev started off so brightly, but the young man from Bulgaria has fizzled out a little bit in this competition. 5 stones in a fast time. We are going to see more of this young man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Westerby from England.
But are we going to see more of Mark Westerby? He needs a miracle. Unlike Don Pope, who's done it again. Comes in with no form, and he's just torn through this heat. But the equation for the Yorkshireman is very simple. He's got to win this. He's got to lift those stones that go up in weight, and he's got to put them on ascending platforms. So it starts light, but the platform is tall, and then it gets heavier, but the plinths get a bit shorter. But for Westerby, he's got to win the event and then hope Sebastian Venter has a nightmare. That's the only way he can qualify for the final of the World's Strongest Man. Don Pope can just take his time and not worry about it. And I'm not sure that Mark Westerby is going to beat the time of the Bulgarian either. No. A great experience, though, for Westerby. He'll learn a lot from this, and I'm sure he'll be back too. Don Pope will be, of course, planning for the final. Yeah, he's got a lot to shout about. This has been a far from a disgrace for the big man from Yorkshire.
Well, if you think back to those Pillars of Hercules, if his grip hadn't let him down then, he would be going through to the final. Don Pope, though, he'll be there. At least it looks like it at the moment. That torn bicep from earlier in the year, it's not helped his stones at all.
Now that's the news Mark Westerby is dreading. He can't make it. But Don Pope, well, it doesn't matter that he's had, by his standards, a disappointing stones. But what an experience it's been in Southern California for the big fella.
Ladies and gentlemen, Carl Gillingham from the United States of America.
And he too knows his equation. He needs Venter to have a complete meltdown here in the heat of Anaheim.
Take your position.
And he's got to win it. So that means he's got to knock Stoyan Todorcev out of first place and hope that Venter has a complete nightmare. And so far the poll doesn't look like he's read the script. This is spoiling the American dream. Venter's ripping it up. Venter's just got stronger and stronger, hasn't he? Oh, hello. Hello. Have we spoken too soon? Unfortunately not, because Gillingham can't win it now, and Venter has managed to get that 5th stone. There was a moment of drama there. We just thought, is something funny going to happen? And in the end, the joke is on Carl Gillingham.
Well, there was a window of opportunity there of just a second or so when it looked like Venter might have fluffed it, but he's just such an athlete, isn't he?
He certainly is. Made a slow start, but a strong finish. So no joy for Carl Gillingham. It's Don Pope leading the American charge here.
So finally, once again, happy now.
Yes, I was a little worried. I didn't compete much this year. I had a couple of guys in my group I haven't seen compete, and you know, everyone tells you how good they are before they compete. So you know, some dark horses, some young guns did pretty well, but the old crafty veterans always end up at the end.
Stoyan Todorcev wins the final event, but all eyes will be on Sebastian Venter. He and Pope qualify, and many are tipping the pole as a potential champion. But Mark Westerby has the long plane ride home to examine what went wrong. He'll be back next year, though, more experienced and ready to take on the best. 5 points from the final event seals 3rd place for Todorcev. So, now we know who our next 2 finalists will be. Sadly, Britain misses out again as Mark Westerby finishes in what for him was a disappointing 4th position. Next up, it's Heat 3 of World's Strongest Man 2007, where Mark Felix will finish 2nd at Britain's Strongest Man back in July. We'll be looking to go one better on the world stage. To see how he fares, join us next time. Until then, it's goodbye from Surf City, Huntington Beach.
And you can catch more giant hunks of testosterone-filled flesh tomorrow night. Same time, same place. Coming up next, it's off to Vegas for a little gray cell workout in CSI.